Hey guys, welcome back to Hunt the Truth. This week the truth is finally getting out and there are some huge references to past events about John's life. Let's dive in. The episode starts with Ben talking to an independent analyst named Ray Kurzak. Ben is hoping that Ray will be able to pull something, anything, to disprove what Katrina and Ellie had told him. Unfortunately for Ben, Ray does the exact opposite, pulling up records that show that John's parents weren't just alive past 2524, but working, paying bills, the whole shebang. He's even able to pull up medical insurance claims for an autoimmune specialist in 2517, giving further credence to the claim of John's death in that year. The cracks are getting bigger and the truth is starting to emerge. Ben follows up by calling Sully. Sully initially tries to laugh things off, repeating,
"Glassed planets have bad records."
Until Ben finally snaps, shouting,
"Do glassed people have bad records?"
This shuts Michael up for a second, before he forces Ben to stop recording. Off the record, Sully asks if Ben wants to do the next interview, code for, "Do you want to keep your job?" You can guess the answer Ben gave. We move forward to another interview with a former Marine named Jacob Walker. Walker claimed that he and John were in boot camp at the same time, and boy is his story familiar. He talks about how inspiring John was to the other recruits, how during runs, whomever would come in last would have to walk home while everyone else got to fly back in a Pelican. And how John would always take the fall for the group. If you've read Fall of Reach, this should sound extremely familiar. If you haven't, allow me to fill you in. During one particular exercise, the Spartan trainees had to get to a designated extraction zone where a Pelican would take them back to base. However, the last person to arrive would have to walk back. Long story short, the Spartan trainees find their way, get into a tussle with some trainers, then fly the Pelican back to base. John made sure he was the last one on, taking on any repercussions. This whole series of events is what got John promoted to squad leader. Walker's story is amazingly similar and even takes place on Reach. Parallels all the way. Not long ago, a fan suggested that perhaps some of the people Ben has been interviewing might have actually been trainers in the Spartan 2 program, helping explain the parallels between the lies and the truth, and explaining how sincere the testimony is. This could certainly be true for Jacob Walker, if for no one else. And just because I know others will bring it up, there is one character we know of who was named Walker, a private who participated in the Battle of Sigma Octantis 4. However, I doubt these are meant to be the same character, since that would mean Walker was a private for 20 plus years. Then again, Private Jenkins was a private for 27 years, and Johnson a staff sergeant for 27 as well. What is interesting about Walker, regardless of who he may or may not be, is that he is now retired to the resort station called Castellaneta, the place where Buck and Veronica met and fucked like animals in 2545. I can only imagine that retirement to such a place would be quite costly. I'm sure a big, fat Oni check would help keep his lifestyle alive. Also, quick side note, I'm almost certain that Walker is played by voice acting god Steve Blum. If you don't know who he is, look him up. You've undoubtedly heard his voice before. We move forward to an interview with another Marine, Anthony Petrovsky. Petrovsky is someone referred to Ben by the conspiracy theorist from the last episode, Mishak Maradi. Unlike previous interviews, which were done through Waypoint, Ben contacts Petrovsky through the Chatternet to keep their conversation from anyone who may be listening in. Chatters and the Chatternet first appeared in I Love Bees and later in Sadie's story from Halo 3 ODST. Now, Petrovsky is probably the most interesting interview thus far. He was present for the fight between John and 4 ODSTs on the UNSC Atlas in 2525. He witnessed the young Spartan accidentally kill 2 of the ODSTs with a single punch and severely injure the other 2. Petrovsky describes the events in detail, noting how young John looked to be, how his fists sounded like thunder when they hit the Marines, and of course, calling him a freak. He finished by noting that John must have been genetically enhanced to do what he did. Ben, as with most stories that conflict with the Oni narrative, tries to laugh it off, but Petrovsky quickly ignores Ben, saying he has nothing to prove, and then hangs up before Ben can ask any further questions. Ben ponders the implications of Petrovsky's story, the idea that children were augmented. It is public knowledge, at least to some degree, that Spartans are augmented, but to augment a child has some serious moral implications. We move forward to another chat with Ellie Bloom. Ben had sent Ellie a rough cut of his first episode, hoping for some feedback. Ellie initially calls Ben on Waypoint, but Ben ignores the call and calls her back through the Chatternet in case anyone is listening in. Ellie tells Ben straight up that Dion, whoever he is lying. It would seem that boxing on Eridanos 2 was banned planet-wide after a kid got injured sometime before John and Ellie were born. While a point of controversy at the time of the ban, it was just part of life by the time John and Ellie were born. For there to have been a high school boxing league would be like, as Ellie puts it,
that's like saying there was a gun range at the toy store. It just didn't happen.
She further reveals that the kidnappings by rebels in Elysium cities didn't happen. Score 1 for me for that prediction. As Ellie describes it, the rebel activity on Eridanos 2 was almost purely political. Minor violence here and there, but definitely no abductions. This fits much better with what we've seen in past fiction about the Eridanos rebels. She wraps up by noting that Elysium was refugee central due to how peaceful it was, even with active rebels in the city. With so much conflicting information, Ben tries to hit up some of his previous interviewees. Neither Dion Govender nor Gabriela Dvorak can be reached. The only one he does pick up is Thomas Wu, the survivor of insurrectionist abductions on another, yet unnamed colony. Ben tries to confront Wu about the conflicting information, but Wu maintains that he told Ben everything he could remember. With little choice, Ben tries to trick Wu, saying that the man had remembered everything perfectly, but only hesitated when he brought up Elysium City. This is a lie, but one Wu falls for. Wu is initially defensive, but quickly slips up, saying that he wanted peace of mind for his family. As Ben notes, what does lying about insurrectionist activity in Elysium City have to do with peace of mind for Wu's family? Wu quickly hangs up. The episode comes to a close with Ben realizing a terrible fact. His whole conversation with Wu, him confronting the man about his lies and revealing them, had happened over Waypoint, where anyone such as Oni could be listening. And after 2 instances of Ben doubting the official story, I wouldn't doubt that Oni is listening in. So, can I say holy shit enough? The truth is coming out, and I love all these references to past media, especially the interview with Petrovsky. I know I say this all the time, but more so than ever, I can't wait to find out what happens next. Was Oni listening in? What could this mean for Ben's future? But above all that, who the hell is Mishak Moradi? How did he know about Petrovsky? Could he be more than meets the eye? Along with this episode, we have 2 images to discuss today. The first was posted just before the episode went up and is little more than a postcard sent to Ben by Jacob Walker, showing for the first time what the view on Castellaneta is like. Strangely, Castellaneta is misspelled, but it was probably just an oversight. But I mean, God, how many times have I said that since this whole Hunt the Truth thing started? The other image of interest once again comes from a Twitter account under the name of Benjamin Giroux. The tweet was sent exclusively to More Counsel, a YouTuber who focuses mostly on Destiny and Bungie, but does occasionally talk Halo. He's more of a Bungie follower than a Halo follower. Anyway, he said that he had reached out to 343 for verification, and based on his history, I'm inclined to believe the man. The image is extremely exciting, assuming it is real. Central in the image is a call from Ben Giroux to Michael Sullivan, either from the call during episode 2 or the more recent one in this episode. The interesting part is the list of contacts to the left. We see several names that are familiar to the Hunt the Truth story. Wu, Govender, Blue, Muradi, and of course, Sully. But look at that name at the top. P. Janaszek, or Petra Janaszek, a close friend of Thomas Lasky and a reporter who made a name for herself writing about the Master Chief. It makes sense that she and Ben might know each other given they're in the same profession, but I have to wonder if she may appear in future episodes. It would make sense given her history with the Chief. Time will tell. So that's all for today, and what an exciting episode it was. This has been Halo Canon, and I'll see you all next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. It means more than I can express in a few minutes of audio. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it around on whatever social media you see fit, and all that jazz. Thank you so much. Your support is everything. I would not be where I am without you. Thanks.